Hello everyone and welcome back to the SteemTrail Gaming news. Today is the 7th of March 2018. My name is Kralizec and I will be your host for the evening. By the way, many of you have probably noticed at this point, I never remember what the date is. Never ever do I remember. I don't know why. I'm just really bad with remembering dates. But today we got two interesting stories for you guys. First, we're going to talk about the fact that the VR headset Oculus Rift has stopped working for users all around the globe. And our second story for today is about the fact that God of War, the new one, will have no microtransactions in it. But let's begin with Oculus Rift. So many of you will know of the Oculus Rift. It was the thing that made VR cool again, was the one that promised all the things we wanted from VR. Though I still do not believe that VR is the way for the future, at least for now. It has actually proven to be a decently successful product. It certainly isn't as bad as the Virtual Boy was. It doesn't cause you splitting headaches and you can somewhat move around with it. I do believe that if anything that the HTC Vive is a slightly better product, at least in its new version, but the Oculus Rift is still a very good VR headset. But today, this morning, they just stopped working all around the world. So this is a story I originally picked up at Polygon, out of all places. And yeah, just their Oculus also stopped working. More specifically, if you try to start the Oculus Rift app right at the moment, you get an error that reads, "Can't reach Oculus runtime service. Your Oculus server software may be updating. Please wait a minute and try again. If you should continue, contact Oculus support." And, well, waiting a minute obviously isn't helping at this point. And contacting Oculus support will get you pretty much no information. The only statement they have released so far is a little tweet that says, "We are aware of an issue impacting people's ability to use Rift software and we're working to fix the problem." So at the moment there's no VR gaming for the Oculus users. There has been some speculation over what is the cause of it. At the moment it seems that it is all about a security certificate, as one Oculus user who was sort of digging through some of the files in his computer found that one of the security certificates lapsed today. That means it expired. If you don't know what certificates do, they essentially are a little tool that says, yeah, this thing is fine. And the other says, okay, I know now it's fine. I can allow it to access me. And since this certificate is no longer valid, at least at this moment, well, it's not getting through the internet. And since the Oculus app requires access to the internet to run, it obviously isn't working. This is probably a pretty big problem for the PR of Oculus. It will hugely depend on how fast they will be able to fix it. Because, well, you know, you come home and you're like, you know what? Today I am actually in the mood for a bit of VR. So you prepare everything, because preparing for VR actually takes a few minutes at the very least. And you go to your computer, you start the app, and nothing. And you're like, what's happening? Yeah, there's maybe an update. So you say, okay, there's an update. I'll wait a few minutes. So you go, like, I don't know, you go make some coffee, or you go take a piss, or whatever. You come back in 5 minutes, and, oh, it's still not working. Well, what's going on? So most people, especially the people who actually have the Oculus Rift, as those will mostly be power users, you go online to search what's happening, and you find out that nobody's freaking Rift is working. And you're like, well, what's going on? So you start searching for a statement, and the statement says, yeah, we know there's a problem, we're trying to fix it. There's no information what the problem actually is. That's just not a good thing for a company. Probably the worst person, the person who was most afflicted by this was Adam Boyne, who is a developer of VR apps, and he was in middle of a demo showing off his product that uses Oculus when it stopped working. Yeah, they spent more than an hour trying to get it to work, but nothing worked. That sucks, man. Imagine you're like Claire, so yeah, look at our awesome game. Suddenly a blue screen. It is essentially a blue screen at this point. And you're like, fuck, what do I do now? I have like 30 minutes of talking to do still. What the fuck do I do? Nah, that's a real problem, and I would not be surprised if the developers tried actually suing Oculus, because yeah, it probably cost them some money. I'm betting you that you showcasing a piece of software for a specific piece of hardware, when the hardware is not working, oh man, you will probably lose a ton of money, because people will be like, okay, so your software is working on something that isn't working. Why should I buy your product? It's like, imagine if you were like, I have the best fuel ever. And you would be like, so I'm going to pour it into the car, and now it will make, for you Americans, 2,000 miles to a gallon. Or for European guys, it will need only 1 liter of gas to run 100 kilometers. You start the car, you start the demonstration, after 20 miles, the car just stops. It wouldn't probably inspire confidence in your product. People would probably assume, well, maybe it's something to do with your product that's causing the issue. It's not. People won't generally assume it's a hardware issue. Most people will assume it's a software issue. Obviously, the people who are at these kind of events will probably figure out that it wasn't his fault, but the feeling sticks. You know, you ever heard the fact that first impressions matter? This probably made the first impression really bad for a lot of people. So I wouldn't be surprised if we heard in the future that Oculus is getting sued over this. Okay, let's move on to our second piece of news, which is about the fact that the new God of War will not have microtransactions in it. And I'm gotta say, that makes me so incredibly happy. I mean, that's just freaking amazing. I hope more studios get inspired by this. The fact that some games should not have microtransactions in them. I mostly understand why multiplayer games have microtransactions in them, as they are a way to provide cosmetic effects to the players and also make some money off of them. But a purely single-player game should not have microtransactions, in my opinion. At least if it is a pay-to-play game. If it's a free-to-play game, then yeah, microtransactions are the way the developers monetize the project. And it does make sense when microtransactions are in free-to-play, even single-player games. But pay-to-play games where you pay maybe even up to $100 if you buy something like the Season Pass or a Collector's Edition should not require you to spend more money to get all the shit inside. And because that's very often the case, often, especially in single-player games, there are completely unique items in the shops. And that should just not be the case. Or it's a way to get access to things that make the game easier. It's essentially paid cheats. So yeah, that's just essentially the piece of news, and it makes me insanely happy. I hope more people actually do this. I hope people get inspired by Sony, more people get inspired by developers like CD Projekt Red, where there are no actual microtransactions in the game. And with that being said, that's going to be it for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please consider giving us a thumbs up here on YouTube and subscribing to this channel. If you are watching this on Steam, it maybe you want to give us an upvote and follow our blog. Be sure to leave a comment. Does any of you own an Oculus Rift? Tell me about your experience with this outage. Did you want to play? Did you get angry? Or did you just not even notice because you didn't start your Oculus? This is the first time you're hearing about it? Be also sure to tune in tomorrow for more gaming news, as we are a daily source of gaming news every single day. See you guys later with more gaming content.